no others, we're going to move on to committee members. Senator Ochoa-Bogue.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have a couple of comments and concerns with the bill. Beginning with the, I know that you said that this bill will be used by anybody of any color. You know, it doesn't have to be race-oriented, I'm assuming.
As long as they're a descendant of slave.
So race-wise.
No, long as they're a descendant of U.S. slaves.
Okay, and what does that mean?
That means that their descendants were slaves in this country. And so everyone that was a descendant of slaves, they don't exactly look like me. They don't have a color.
Yeah, okay.
Because we have mixed race children, and from generations down, from the time that people got off the slave ship, they came here pregnant, some of them, so they already had mixed race children, and so they may not look like me.
Okay. Has there been any concerns or any comments on whether or not this would be in violation of any of our discriminatory laws at all?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Okay. I have a letter of opposition here that basically states a point, and I just want to put it on the record just because it was kind of intriguing for me, but it said, according to this letter by the CFER Foundation, it stated that advocating blatant government preferences with race, sex-based consideration distorts the principle of equal opportunity into an illiberal tool of equal outcome. We should also make sure that every individual has equal access to public resources and that our government provide institutional support that encourages American virtues of hard work, initiative, self-discipline, and individual merit. I'm kind of curious, why was the program not more defined, or why wouldn't anyone fit more into like an economic demographic saying? Because
U.S. descendants of slaves, as you heard, we were kept from housing. We were redlined. When we built housing in some states, the government came and they burned it down and took their homes. And so they were already in a disadvantage. And so this is just to bring them up to everyone else so that they can have home ownership like everyone else. You're very familiar with slavery in the United States.
Oh, of course,
yes?
ma'am. Yes. And on that note, so I was looking under the redlining concern of housing for the state of California, and according to what I learned, just from a realtor's perspective, I was coming into and looking at this, but redlining was officially outlawed by the Federal Fair Housing Act in 1968. And in California, the state passed a general non-discrimination law in 1959, and an explicit fair housing law in 1963, which were precursors to the federal legislation. So even before that, in California, this was outlawed. So kind of curious for the general public.
In 1969, my parents, who worked for the motion picture industry, for television and motion picture, they tried to buy a house in Hollywood, and they were discriminated against. They tried to rent a house in like Inglewood, because back then, Inglewood was predominantly white, and they were discriminated against. And you know how we know? Because my mother's white girlfriend went and rented that same apartment for us. So even after 1969, there was still lots and lots of discrimination. Law or not, discrimination was still happening. And so this will put descendants of U.S. slaves on an even footage. Now, I have an exhibit. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, can I just show my exhibit really quick? It's fast. And I could just, yes?
Yeah.
Can you guys see this picture? I just want to tell you about race. Like, this baby is a U.S. descendant of slaves, but he looks white. But he is a descendant of slaves. So that's what this is going to look like. It's going to help descendants of U.S. slaves.